The cold emptiness of space stretched in every direction. Stars glimmered like ancient eyes, watching the lonely ship drifting between them. Varthan Explorer 9, a deep space research vessel belonging to the Zerthan Empire. For 3 long years it had searched for lost civilizations. But on this quiet day, something impossible happened. Inside the control deck, alarms began to beep. Screens glowed with strange data streams. The crew looked up from their stations, their scaled faces filled with confusion. "Captain Thren," said Officer Ralix, his voice uneasy. "The long-range scanner just detected an unknown signal. It's not in any database." The captain turned slowly, his 4 yellow eyes narrowing. "Not in any database?" he asked. His voice was calm, but everyone felt the tension behind it. Ralix swallowed. "No, sir. It's older than our entire archive." And he hesitated. "The energy pattern is identical to something we studied in mythological records." The room went silent. Even the soft hum of the engines seemed to fade. Captain Thren's tail twitched nervously. "Run the Precursor protocol," he ordered. The words sent a chill through the crew. The Precursor protocol was not supposed to be real. It was used only in simulations, for beings who supposedly shaped galaxies before vanishing millions of years ago. Still, Ralix obeyed. His hands danced across the holographic console. Lights flickered. Programs compared the unknown signal with forbidden archives. A low, steady tone filled the deck. Then the main screen flashed a single line of text in red letters. "Precursor confirmed." No one spoke. For a long moment, the crew simply stared. Thren's voice finally broke the silence. "That's impossible," Ralix nodded weakly. "And yet the system verified it 3 times. Captain, the signal is coming from a small vessel ahead. It's manned." The captain's spines rose slightly. "Alive?" "Yes, Captain. 1 life form on board. Bring us in." "Slowly," Thren ordered. The Explorer 9 glided through the blackness like a shadow. In the distance, something shimmered between drifting asteroids. A small ship, ancient and broken but still active. Its hull was covered in symbols none of the crew could understand. Every few seconds, the unknown vessel sent a pulse, the same impossible energy signature. "Magnify," Thren commanded. The image enlarged. The symbols glowed faintly, and then they saw it through a cracked viewing port, a figure sitting inside, perfectly still. A humanoid. Pale skin, closed eyes, breathing. Ralix's claws trembled as he spoke. "Captain, it's not any known species." The scanner beeped again and displayed one more word on screen. "Precursor identified." Gasps filled the control deck. A junior officer whispered, "Is that really one of them?" Thren didn't answer. He stared at the image, the sleeping being inside the ancient craft, and felt something he hadn't felt in decades. Fear. "Bring it aboard," the captain said finally. The recovery drones left the ship, surrounded the small craft, and guided it toward the hangar. Static filled the communication channels as the alien ship docked. Even with the shields raised, everyone felt a strange vibration in the air, as if the space around them was shifting. When the hatch opened, fog poured out. The crew took cautious steps forward, energy rifles ready. The figure inside was still sitting, his head bowed. He looked fragile, but the air felt heavy, as if a great power slept within him. "Activate containment field," Thren said. The blue energy barrier hummed to life around the figure. "Wake him." Ralix tapped a control. A soft pulse of energy passed through the chamber. The being's eyes opened, 2 human eyes, calm, sharp, alive. The crew stepped back. The being looked around slowly, studying every face, every glowing console, every nervous hand holding a weapon. Then he spoke. His voice was smooth, deep, and far too confident for someone who had just awakened among strangers. "Where am I?" Thren hesitated. "You are aboard the Zerthan vessel Explorer 9. Identify yourself." The human tilted his head slightly. "Zerthan? Never heard of it." The captain's voice hardened. "Our scanners identified you as a precursor. Is that true?" The man's lips curved into a faint smirk. His gaze fell on the holographic scanner still displaying the words "Precursor confirmed." "Finally figured it out, huh?" he said quietly. The bridge went silent again. No one moved. Thren's mind raced. This being was supposed to be extinct. a legend older than galaxies. Yet here he stood, smiling like it was all a joke. Rayleigh broke the silence. "Sir, the systems, something's happening." Every console flickered. The ship's lights dimmed, then brightened again. Strange patterns appeared on their screens. The same glowing symbols that covered the human ship. "Shut it down," Thren ordered. "Disconnect power." But the systems didn't respond. The humans simply stood there watching. The symbols spread across the walls like living code. Then just as suddenly everything stopped. He looked at Thren and said, "Relax, I'm not here to hurt you." Thren forced his voice steady. "Then why are you here?" The man smiled faintly. "Because someone finally called." The aliens exchanged confused glances. "Called?" Rayleigh asked. "We didn't call anyone." "Oh, you did," the human said. "You've been sending your little signals for centuries, looking for answers, for history. You wanted to find the first ones." He took a slow step forward and every alien instinctively stepped back. "Well, congratulations. You just found one." Thren's throat felt dry. "What do you want?" The human looked out through the window at the endless field of stars. His expression changed, from amusement to something deeper, almost sad. "What I want?" he said quietly. "I want to see what you've done with our galaxy." For a long moment, no one spoke. The hum of the engines was the only sound. Then the scanners lit up again, not with a single signal, but hundreds. All around them, across the nearby systems, other faint precursor signatures began to appear. Rayleigh gasped. "Captain, more signals. They're everywhere." The human turned back to them, his calm expression returning. "Oh," he said softly, "I guess they finally woke up too." The bridge of the Varthon Explorer 9 was silent except for the faint hum of the engines. Every eye was fixed on the human standing in front of them, calm, breathing slowly, as if time itself belonged to him. Captain Thren's voice was the first to break the silence. "What do you mean? They woke up too?" The human's eyes glowed faintly in the dim blue light of the bridge. "Exactly what it sounds like," he said. "You scanned for one of us, and in doing so you sent a signal. A very old one. It was designed to reach others like me. You didn't just find me, Captain. You woke them." Rayleigh's claws tapped nervously on the control panel. "Who are they?" The human smiled slightly. "The rest of the precursors." "My kind," the crew exchanged uneasy glances. "Legends said the precursors shaped galaxies and built the first intelligent machines. But no one ever believed they were real. Now one stood in front of them." Thren forced himself to remain calm. "If your kind has been gone for millions of years, why return now?" The human's expression softened. "Because you called us. You just didn't know what you were asking for." He began walking slowly across the deck, looking at each alien face. "You wanted knowledge, power, the truth of creation. But every question has a price." A soft alarm broke the tension. Rayleigh looked down at his screen. "Captain, we're picking up more signals, dozens, maybe hundreds. They're spreading across nearby systems." The human turned toward the screen. "There," he said quietly. "That's them," Thren frowned. "We're detecting energy readings beyond measurable limits. Some are appearing inside dead star systems. Other inside black holes." The human nodded once. "Our homes. We left markers behind. Self-contained worlds hidden in collapsed stars. They're waking now, reactivating after eons." Rayleigh's voice trembled. "You're saying there are more of you? Entire civilizations sleeping out there?" The man smiled faintly. "Not civilizations. Guardians, machines, memories." The crew didn't understand, but they felt the weight in his tone. Thren stepped closer. "What are you planning to do?" The human looked directly at him. "Observe. Judge. Decide whether this galaxy deserves to keep what we built." The words hit the crew like a weapon. Rayleigh stammered. "Judge? You mean destroy?" The human didn't answer immediately. He turned and looked out the large window at the field of stars beyond. His reflection flickered faintly on the glass. "When we left," he said softly, "we wanted younger races to grow free, to create, to learn. But power always corrupts. We left behind rules, and we warned them never to seek us again." His eyes shifted back to Thren. "But your kind didn't listen." Thren's voice cracked. "We didn't know. The stories were myths. You searched." The human interrupted, his voice suddenly sharp. "You dug into graves better left closed, and now..." They're opening. The ship shuddered violently. Red lights flared across the bridge. Rayleigh shouted, "Something's happening!" Gravitational waves approaching, massive ones. The human stood still. It's starting. Outside the viewport, the stars rippled like water. Space itself seemed to bend. A huge shadow began to take form. A massive structure emerging from the void, silent and dark. It wasn't a ship. It was something older, larger. Live, the alien crew stared in awe and terror. "Captain," Rayleigh whispered, "what is that?" The human's eyes glowed brighter. "A memory fortress. One of ours. They used to protect the old civilizations. You might call it a guardian mind." The structure floated slowly toward them, its surface covered in glowing patterns, the same ancient symbols seen on the human ship. Energy waves pulsed from it, making every system aboard the Explorer 9 flicker. Thren shouted, "Shields up! Prepare to retreat." The human turned, his tone calm but commanding. "Do not move. It will see that as a threat." Thren hesitated. Every instinct told him to flee, but something in the human's voice stopped him. The ship's AI began to speak, its voice distorted, trembling. "Unidentified entity. Approaching. Attempting communication protocol." Before it could finish, the main screen changed. A deep mechanical voice echoed through the bridge. "Identify the one who called." No one answered. The human stepped forward. "That would be me." The alien crew turned toward him in shock. The voice spoke again, deeper and colder. "Identity confirmed. Precursor prime. Status restored." The bridge filled with light. The alien crew fell to their knees as the massive structure outside released a beam of white energy toward the human. It surrounded him but did not harm him. Instead, it made the air vibrate with strange harmony. His body shimmered, his veins glowing faintly with blue light. Thren whispered, "What's happening to you?" The human looked down at his hands, flexing his fingers. "Waking up. You see, Captain, when we went into hibernation, we scattered ourselves across the stars. I was one of the last sentinels. My memories were locked until someone found me." He smiled faintly, though there was sadness in his eyes. "And now you have." The light faded. The massive structure outside began to drift back into darkness. The ship's alarms went silent. Slowly, everything returned to normal. But nothing felt normal anymore. Thren stared at the human, his voice quiet. "What happens now?" The man looked around the bridge, at the frightened faces, the flickering lights, the endless stars. "Now," he said, "now you learn the truth about who built your galaxy." He started walking toward the door. "And you'll have to decide if you're ready to know." As the door closed behind him, the crew sat frozen, barely breathing. Rayleigh finally whispered, "Captain, should we restrain him?" Thren shook his head slowly. "No, we can't stop him. We can only follow." Outside the ship, new signals appeared on the scanners. Dozens of ancient constructs awakening from dark corners of space. The galaxy itself seemed to be stirring. The human, now alone in the corridor, touched the wall gently. The metal rippled under his hand as if alive. "Wake up," he whispered. "It's time." And somewhere across a dying star system, another fortress answered, its lights blinking for the first time in 1,000,000 years. The Varthan Explorer 9 moved slowly through the black sea of stars, following the glowing trail left behind by the human. His ship, once old and silent, now pulsed with new life. Blue lines of energy ran across its hull like veins, guiding the way forward. Inside the alien vessel, the crew watched him from the observation deck. None of them spoke for a long time. Finally, Officer Rayleigh broke the silence. "Captain, are we really following him? After what happened?" Captain Thren kept his eyes on the stars. "Do you see any other choice?" Rayleigh's claws tapped the console nervously. "He said his kind will judge us. What if they find us guilty?" Thren turned toward him. "Then we'll face whatever comes." "We woke him, officer. Now we must know why." Down in the docking bay, the human stood near the large view window, looking out at the endless void. His face was calm, but his eyes carried the weight of ages. He seemed to be listening to something no one else could hear. When Thren entered, the human spoke without turning around. "They've started the process." "The process?" Thren asked. The human nodded. "The judgment. Every race that came after us will be evaluated. Your empires, your wars, your use of technology, all of it. Thren's voice hardened. Who decides? The human finally turned to face him. We do, the captain frowned. Then tell me, will we be destroyed? The human smiled faintly, almost sadly. That depends on how you answer the question. What question? He looked directly into Thren's eyes. Why did you search for us? Thren hesitated. The truth was complicated. Pride, curiosity, fear of being alone in the universe. But he forced the words out. Because we wanted to know who made us. Who made everything. The human studied him for a long moment, then said softly, That's exactly what we hoped you would say. The stars outside began to twist. Space rippled like water, and a massive structure appeared ahead. A planet-sized ring made of silver and stone. Lightning danced across its surface, and in the center glowed a single white sun. Ralix's voice echoed over the comms. Captain, we're detecting a construct the size of a small moon. Energy output off the charts. The human watched calmly. That's the Council of Origin. The oldest place in this galaxy. It's where judgment begins. As the ships approached, the ring opened, revealing a glowing passage. The Explorer 9 entered, bathed in golden light. The crew stared in awe. The inside was filled with colossal structures floating in the air. Cities built on light, rivers of pure energy, and vast statues of unknown beings. It looked like a forgotten heaven. They landed on a circular platform surrounded by hovering crystals. As soon as the engines went quiet, the air shimmered, and 6 massive figures appeared. Each looked different, some metallic, some made of pure light, others with shifting forms like living storms. The human bowed his head slightly. Ancient Council, he said. I return as ordered. One of the glowing beings spoke. Its voice sounded like thunder and whisper combined. You were not ordered. You were found. The younger races have disturbed our rest. Another voice followed, colder and sharper. Their technology spreads like infection. They use power without understanding. They must be erased. The alien crew felt a wave of fear. Their scales tightened, their hearts pounding. Thren stepped forward. We didn't mean harm. We only searched for truth. The storm-like figure turned toward him. You dare speak? The human raised a hand. He does, they all do. That's why I'm here, to speak for them. The council murmured in low tones, their lights flickering. Then the first voice spoke again. You would defend them. After what they've done to the stars? The human's tone remained steady. They made mistakes. So did we, but they learned. That was the point of leaving them the galaxy. They are dangerous, said another. They have turned creation into weapons. Then teach them, the human said firmly. Don't erase them. The room filled with silence. Then one by one the figures faded, leaving only a bright light that began to spin above the platform. A deep mechanical voice spoke. Judgment deferred. Evaluation in progress. Observation begins. The human looked at Thren. That means you've been given a chance. A small one. Thren exhaled slowly. And what must we do? Prove you deserve to exist, the human said simply. Show that your species can build without destroying. The crew returned to the Explorer 9 in silence. No one spoke until the engines came back online. Ralix's hands shook as he checked the readings. Captain, something's wrong. The scanners show we're not alone. Outside, dozens of alien ships appeared from warp. Other species, explorers from across the galaxy. Their transmissions filled the comms, filled with confusion and fear. Zerthan vessel, what's happening? Our systems were pulled into this space. Who are those giants? The human appeared beside Thren, watching the chaos unfold. The council summoned them. They want witnesses. Every major race in the galaxy will face judgment now, Thren whispered. Then this is just the beginning. The human nodded. Yes, the galaxy has awakened, Captain. And not everyone will survive what comes next. Hours passed. Ships from 100 worlds gathered near the Great Ring. Some tried to flee, but the space around them bent like glass, trapping them inside. The council's light pulsed again, casting shadows across the fleets. Then a voice echoed through the void, vast, cold, and final. Judgment begins now. The stars dimmed. Time itself seemed to slow. The light from the ring spread across the gathered ships, scanning every life form, every weapon, every piece of history. The aliens cried out in fear as memories, Wars, greed, cruelty flashed across the sky like living images. Rayleigh turned to the human. They're showing our past. Everything, the human's expression hardened. Yes, they're looking for hope. Any sign of mercy in your history. Thren looked at him sharply. And if they find none? The human's voice dropped to a whisper. Then the galaxy burns. The light from the great ring still filled the sky. Every alien ship hung silent, caught in its grip. The Council of Origin had begun its judgment, and there was no escape. On the bridge of the Varthan Explorer 9, the crew could only watch as scenes from across the galaxy flashed before their eyes. Entire wars replayed in the air like holograms. Cities burning, worlds falling, civilizations rising and collapsing under their own greed. Rayleigh trembled. Captain, they're showing everything. Every war, every crime. Captain Thren stood frozen, his eyes reflecting the endless swirl of images. They're not just showing us, he said quietly. They're feeling it. The Council is inside every mind right now. Then the human spoke. His voice was low, steady, but filled with weight. They're not watching your history. They're listening to your ghosts. The crew turned to him. What do you mean? Rayleigh asked. The human's eyes glowed faintly blue. Every act leaves an echo, emotions, memories, pain. When a species dies, that echo doesn't vanish. The Council uses them as evidence. They call them the voices of the dead. As he spoke, the lights on the bridge flickered. The temperature dropped. A whispering sound filled the air, faint at first, then louder. The voices, they weren't mechanical. They were emotional, crying, begging, screaming. It was like hearing 1,000 souls at once, each reliving its final moment. Rayleigh clutched his head. Make it stop! Thren shouted over the noise. What is this? Why are they showing us this? The human's voice was calm, but his eyes were distant as if he too remembered. They want you to feel what you've done. The destruction your species left behind. Not just see it, remember it. The sound grew louder. The walls seemed to pulse with the rhythm of heartbeats. One by one, images appeared around the crew. Holograms of alien faces, transparent and glowing, looking lost. A small child with bright eyes whispered, "Why did you burn our world?" A soldier in broken armor cried, "We fought for peace," and died in silence. Thren's breath caught in his throat. These were not his people, but he felt their pain like his own. Suddenly, the noise stopped. The holograms vanished. Only the sound of the engines remained. The crew stood shaking, some crying silently. The human looked around them. "Now you understand what judgment really means," he said softly. "It's not about punishment. It's about memory." Thren stared at him. "You sound like you've been through this before." The human's face hardened. "I have." He turned toward the window, his gaze lost in the stars. "Long ago, we, the Precursors, faced the same test. We built wonders, created life, shaped worlds. But we also destroyed. When our time came, half of us chose to accept judgment. And the other half?" Thren asked quietly. The human didn't answer immediately. His voice dropped lower. "They refused. They called themselves the Eternal Dominion. They believed power was proof of worth, that only the strong should survive. When the Council decided to seal us away, the Dominion resisted. The war that followed burned half the galaxy." Rayleigh's voice shook. "You mean there are more like you? Still out there?" The human nodded slowly. "The Dominion was never destroyed, only imprisoned. Their leader sleeps in the dark, beyond the edge of the galactic rim. If the Council's power wakes him..." He paused, his eyes narrowing. "Then this judgment will become something far worse." The lights flickered again, but this time not because of the Council. Rayleigh looked at the scanner. "Captain, new energy reading, far edge of the system. It's massive." The human's expression turned grim. "Too soon," he muttered. "What's too soon?" Thren demanded. "The voices you just heard," the human said. "They were supposed to stay silent. But something, or someone, called them. Outside, a crack appeared in space. A dark tear spreading across the stars. Lightning arced around it. The great ring of the Council began to flicker. Rayleigh shouted, "Space-time instability. Something's forcing its way through." The human closed his eyes. "He's waking." "Who?" Thren asked. The human looked at him, calm but deadly serious. "The one who never accepted judgment. The last of the Dominion. The tier widened, revealing a colossal figure of black metal and red light, shaped like a ship but alive. Its voice echoed across every communication channel, deep and terrible. "We were gods once," it said, "and we will be gods again." The council's lights flared. The sky split with energy. The beings of the council reappeared, surrounding the black ship like blazing stars. Their voices thundered together. "Eternal Dominion detected. Containment breach." Thren's crew stared in horror. "Captain, what do we do?" Thren turned to the human. "Can they stop it?" The human shook his head. "No, the Dominion feeds on judgment. The more the council resists, the stronger he becomes." Rayleigh swallowed. "Then what happens to us?" The human looked out at the darkness, his tone cold and distant. "If we can't stop him, everything dies. Again." The black ship roared, its voice shaking every world within light years. The council fired beams of energy that tore through space, but each attack was absorbed into the Dominion's armor. Then, a strange light began to glow around the Explorer 9. The ship's systems came alive, responding to something beyond the crew's control. Rayleigh panicked. "Captain, our ship's being pulled toward the battle." The human stepped forward, his voice calm. "It's not the council doing that. It's me." Thren's eyes widened. "You're controlling the ship." The human's expression hardened. "You wanted to know who made you. Now it's time you help us save what we made." He placed his hand on the console. Instantly, the ship's metal shifted, transforming under his touch. The walls glowed with ancient blue light, and new symbols spread like veins through the deck. The Explorer 9 was no longer just a ship. It was becoming something else. Something older. Something Precursor. The ship trembled. Every screen flickered with light as ancient blue energy flowed through the metal walls. The Explorer 9 was no longer the same vessel. It was alive, breathing, humming with power that came from a time before most galaxies had names. Captain Thren held onto the control rail, eyes wide. "What's happening to my ship?" The human didn't look at him. His hand rested on the glowing console, and streams of light moved from his fingers into the floor. "It's not your ship anymore," he said quietly. "It remembers what it used to be." Rayleigh's voice trembled. "You mean this ship was made by your people?" The human nodded. "Yes, the explorers were our scouts, built to map creation itself. You were flying in one of our oldest relics without even knowing." Outside, the black ship, the Dominion vessel, grew brighter, its surface twisting and alive with red lightning. The voices of the council echoed in the distance, deep and thunderous. Containment breach escalating. Reality field collapsing. Thren shouted, "Can the council stop that thing?" The human's eyes darkened. "No, they're too bound by their own rules. The Dominion is chaos. It feeds on defiance." The ship suddenly jerked. A beam of red light shot past, grazing the hull. The alarm screamed. Rayleigh panicked. "We're under attack!" "Shields at 30%. The human turned his head slowly toward the window. The Dominion ship was massive, thousands of kilometers wide, shaped like a black spear tearing through space. And yet, it felt alive. The human whispered, "He's feeding already." Thren frowned. "Feeding on what?" "Fear," the human said softly. "He's drawing it from every living thing within this sector. The more terror spreads, the more he grows." The crew exchanged fearful looks. The human turned toward them. "That's why you must not give in to fear." "It's what he wants." Thren clenched his fists. "Then how do we fight him?" The human's gaze hardened. "By remembering who we were before the fear began." He pressed both hands on the console. The ship responded instantly. Blue light exploded from the core, spreading across the hull like a heartbeat. Outside, the Explorer 9 transformed. Its metal plates reformed into intricate patterns of silver and light. The engines flared white, and strange geometric shapes floated around it. Protective shields made from Precursor technology. Rayleigh stared in awe. What is this?" The human smiled faintly. "This is what the Precursors called the will of creation. It's not a weapon, it's balance. As long as we hold it, the Dominion cannot consume everything." Thren pointed at the massive red ship. "That's good, but how do we stop it?" The human's voice grew darker. "We don't stop him. We seal him again." Before anyone could ask how, the communication system suddenly came alive. A deep voice filled the bridge, so powerful it made the walls vibrate. "You cannot seal me." "Brother," Everyone froze. The human's eyes narrowed. So you still remember my voice? I remember everything, the voice answered. I remember the day you betrayed us. The day you chose weakness over eternity. The human exhaled slowly. You call mercy weakness? That's why the council turned away from you. The council feared me, the Dominion replied. They still do. Even now, they hide behind judgment. But judgment is only a cage, and cages always break. A blast of red energy hit the Explorer 9, shaking the ship violently. Sparks burst from the ceiling. Thren shouted, "Shields failing!" The human raised his hand. A wall of blue light surged from the ship, blocking the next attack. The shockwave rippled through space. The Dominion laughed. You're weaker than before. You lost your power when you took their form, when you became human. The human's expression hardened. Maybe, but I gained something you never understood. And what is that? The human's voice became calm, almost gentle. Hope. The human turned to Thren and his crew. You have to listen to me carefully. We're going to open a temporal fold. When it opens, you'll see a void. That's where we'll trap him. But I need you to stabilize the ship's core. Rayleigh gulped. And if we can't? The human looked at him. Then the ship and us will cease to exist. No one spoke for a moment. Then Thren nodded. We'll do it. Tell us what to do. The human smiled faintly. Good. Let's remind the galaxy why the Precursors were feared, and why they were loved. Outside, the Explorer 9 rose higher, glowing brighter than the nearby suns. The surrounding stars seemed to bend toward it, as if gravity itself obeyed its call. The Dominion roared, firing thousands of energy bolts, each one tearing through space. But none reached the Explorer 9. The ship's new shields absorbed them, turning red light into silver sparks. Inside, Rayleigh shouted, Core at maximum output. Good, the human replied. Now open the fold. A blinding sphere appeared in front of the ship, swirling black and white, growing wider every second. The edges of reality twisted like liquid. The Dominion's voice thundered. You dare imprison me again? The human stepped forward, eyes glowing blue. No, this time you'll imprison yourself. He raised both hands and blue energy surged outward, linking the Explorer 9 to the growing fold. The Dominion tried to resist, but something strange happened. The voices of the dead, the echoes of lost civilizations, began to sing. Soft at first, then louder. A song of grief and hope, the Dominion screamed. What is this? The human smiled. They remembered too. The fold expanded, pulling the Dominion ship toward it. Space cracked and folded. The Council's lights brightened, helping contain the breach. But then a massive shockwave burst out. The Dominion released one final attack, striking the Explorer 9 directly. The bridge exploded with sparks. Rayleigh fell. Thren struggled to stay upright. Human! Thren shouted. The ship's collapsing. The human didn't move. His body glowed brighter than ever. I'll hold it. You can't. Thren yelled. You'll burn yourself alive. The human smiled softly. I've burned before. He turned toward the window one last time. Tell them. Humanity wasn't the first, but it was the last that remembered mercy. Then he vanished into light. Outside, the Explorer 9 turned completely white, a brilliant star in the dark void. The fold closed around the Dominion ship, swallowing both into silence. When the light faded, only calm space remained. The Council's voice echoed faintly. Containment restored. Judgment complete. Thren lay on the floor, breathing hard. Rayleigh crawled to his console. Captain. The human. He's gone. Thren looked at the window where the human once stood. No, he whispered. He's not gone. He became what he was meant to be. In the distance, a single blue star flickered, pulsing like a heartbeat. Silence. For the first time in hours, the galaxy was quiet. The great battle was over. The Explorer 9 drifted through empty space, its once bright hull now dim and cracked. The blue glow that had once filled the ship was fading slowly, like the last breath of a dying star. Captain Thren stood at the center of the bridge, surrounded by broken panels and smoke. Status report, he said quietly. Rayleigh coughed, trying to fix the console. Engines offline. Power levels at 20%. Life support is stable, for now, Thren nodded. And the human? Rayleigh hesitated. The silence was enough of an answer. The human was gone. The crew worked in silence for hours, repairing what they could. No one spoke of what they had seen. No one dared mention the light that had swallowed their friend. Finally, Rayleigh spoke, his voice soft. "Do you think he really died, Captain?" Threen looked at the dark stars ahead. He gave everything to close that rift. If he's alive, he's not in this universe anymore. But deep inside the ship, hidden beneath metal layers that no alien had ever touched, something stirred. A flicker, a pulse. The walls glowed faintly blue, and for only a moment, then went dark again. Days passed. The crew managed to restore partial power. The Explorer 9 slowly made its way toward a nearby system to rest and repair. As Ralex worked in the engine room, his console suddenly blinked to life. "Captain," he called over the comm, "there's something strange in the ship's core. Some kind of energy reading. Familiar." Thren hurried down, his boots echoing on the cold floor. "Show me." Ralex pointed at the screen. "It's pulsing, just like the Precursor energy. But it's smaller, almost like a heartbeat," Thren frowned. "A heartbeat?" Before they could say more, a voice echoed softly through the room's speakers. "Captain Thren." Both of them froze. The voice was faint, digital but unmistakable. It was him. "The human," Ralex whispered. "That's impossible." Thren stepped forward, eyes wide. "Human, is that you?" The voice came again, calm and warm. "Not exactly. What you're hearing is a fragment. A memory that the ship kept alive." Ralex swallowed. "So you're not real?" A soft chuckle echoed through the speakers. "Depends on how you define real." Thren felt a chill. "Why did the ship keep you?" "Because," the voice said, "the war isn't over." The lights around them flickered blue, forming faint holographic patterns across the walls. Strange symbols appeared, precursor code shifting and alive. Ralex whispered, "What's happening?" The human's voice deepened slightly. "The Dominion wasn't destroyed. Only sealed, but part of its essence. Escaped before the rift closed." Thren clenched his fists. "You mean that thing's still out there?" "Yes," the voice replied. "And it's looking for a new host. It can't exist without form. It needs something alive." Ralex looked terrified. "A host, like someone on this ship?" The voice paused. "Possibly. The Dominion's echo could hide inside any system, any mind. You must be careful." Thren's eyes narrowed. "How do we find it?" The lights dimmed again. "You don't find it," the voice said. "You feel it. It feeds on fear and anger. When someone changes, when they stop being themselves, you'll know." Hours later, the crew gathered in the main hall. Thren explained everything. Murmurs filled the room. Fear spread quickly. Ralex stood beside him, whispering, "Captain, what if the Dominion already found someone?" Thren's eyes scanned the faces of his crew. They were tired, scared, and silent. "Then we make sure it doesn't win again," he said. That night, strange things began happening. The lights flickered without reason. Doors opened and closed on their own. And once, a crew member swore he heard whispering from the ship's walls, voices saying his name. The Explorer 9 was alive again. But not all of it was friendly. Ralex woke in the middle of the night to a strange noise. Metal shifting, footsteps in the dark hallway. He followed the sound, holding a small light. "Hello?" he called softly. No answer. He turned a corner and froze. There, standing near the airlock, was another crew member staring out into space. His eyes glowed faint red. "Hey, you okay?" Ralex asked carefully. The man turned slowly, his expression blank. "He was right," he whispered. "The strong should rule." Before Ralex could react, the man lunged. The fight was short but brutal. Ralex managed to hit the alarm before the man could throw him out of the airlock. Security rushed in, restraining the crew member. Thren arrived seconds later. "What happened?" Ralex panted, holding his bruised arm. "It's him, Captain. The Dominion. It's inside him." The human's voice echoed faintly through the ship again. "It has started." The echo found a host. Thren shouted toward the ceiling. "Can you remove it?" The voice was calm but grave. "I can try, but it will take energy the ship doesn't have. You'll need to give it something." Ralex frowned. "Like what?" The lights brightened slightly. "Your will," the voice said. "Your belief that you can resist it. The Dominion thrives on despair. The opposite destroys it." The possessed crewman screamed as energy surrounded him. Blue light and red sparks collided in the air. The ship shook violently. The human's voice echoed louder. "Hold your ground! Don't fear it!" Ralix grabbed Thren's arm, shouting over the noise. "He's fighting it from inside the system." The man's scream turned into a roar and then silence. When the light faded, the crewman collapsed, breathing heavily but alive. The red glow in his eyes was gone. Thren looked up at the ceiling. "You did it." The human's voice sounded weaker now. "For now." But this was just one fragment. There will be others. The Dominion's influence spreads across more than one world. Ralix's eyes widened. "For me, the war really isn't over." The voice paused, soft but steady. "No, it's just beginning." The ship's systems hummed again. The blue light of the Precursor symbols pulsed faintly on the walls, like veins of living energy. Thren stood at the center of the bridge. "If you're really part of him," he said quietly, "then you're not just our memory. You're our guide." A faint smile echoed through the voice. "Then let's guide wisely." Outside the ship, far in the distance, a single red spark flickered in the void, silent, watching, waiting, and in the heart of the Explorer 9, the human's echo whispered one final line before fading into static. "Creation never ends. It just begins again." The galaxy was quiet again, too quiet. Weeks had passed since the Dominion's fragment was defeated. The Explorer 9 floated near the edge of a dying star system, repairing itself slowly. The blue light that once filled the ship now glowed faintly, like an ember refusing to fade. Captain Thren stood at the observation window, watching the fading star. Ralix joined him, carrying a small data pad. "Repairs are almost done, Captain. Engines at 90%. We can finally go home." Thren didn't answer. His eyes stayed fixed on the horizon. "Home," he said softly. "After what we've seen. Do we even have one?" Ralix lowered his head. "Maybe not. But we're still alive. That has to mean something." Before Thren could reply, the ship's lights flickered. A sharp tone echoed through the bridge. A communication alert. Ralix frowned. "That's impossible. We disabled long-range comms after the fight." Thren turned quickly. "Source." Ralix checked the console. "It's coming from outside the galaxy. From the void region near the old rift." The sound came again. Faint static, then a voice. A familiar voice. "This is not the end." "Follow the light." Thren froze. His breath caught in his chest. "Replay that," he ordered. Ralix did. The same line echoed again, soft and distant but clear. "This is not the end." "Follow the light," Ralix whispered. "That's him. The human." The crew gathered around the console, their faces lit by the blue hologram. A communications officer said, "Signal strength is weak, Captain. It's bouncing through subspace distortions." "But it's real," Thren's heart pounded. "How can it be real?" "He sacrificed himself. He vanished." Ralix looked at the readings. Maybe he left something behind, not just an echo, but a message from beyond. Another pulse of sound came through the speakers. This time, more words followed. "They are coming." The Dominion stirs again. "The gate must not open." The room fell silent. "The gate?" Thren repeated. "What gate?" The human's voice answered one last time, almost like a whisper across eternity. "The key is within you." Then, static. The signal vanished. For a long time, no one spoke. Finally, Ralix said quietly, "Captain, what do we do?" Thren stared at the console, then looked toward the stars. "We find that gate. If he sent this message, there's still a chance to stop whatever's coming." "But sir," another officer said, "we barely survived last time. If the Dominion's waking again," Thren cut him off, "then we can't wait for it to reach us. We take the fight to it." He turned to Ralix. "Prepare the ship. Plot a course to the void region." Ralix hesitated. "Aye, Captain." Hours later, the Explorer 9 moved through deep space, its engines glowing faintly blue. The crew was silent, each lost in thought. In the observation deck, Ralix watched the stars blur into white lines as the ship entered faster than light travel. He whispered to himself, "Why us? Why did he choose us?" A soft hum answered him. He looked up. The walls of the ship glowed faintly, the same Precursor symbols returning once more. Ralix whispered, "Is that you?" A soft voice replied. Still watching, it was the human's voice, faint, fragmented like the memory of a dream. Ralix smiled. "You're alive." "I am." "Something," the voice replied. "A shadow of who I was." But there is little time. The signal wasn't just a warning, it was a door. A door? Yes, the Dominion left behind a back channel, a secret path through space-time. If we don't reach it before it opens, everything will start again. Moments later, alarms blared. "Captain!" shouted a crew member. "Unidentified structure detected ahead." Thren rushed to the bridge. On screen, the hologram flickered, showing a massive structure floating in the void. Circular, ancient, pulsing, faintly red. Raylex whispered, "That looks like the Council's ring." Thren shook his head. "No, this one's older." The human's voice returned through the speakers, soft but urgent. "That is the Gate of Dominion. The first one we built, before the Council sealed us." Thren clenched his fists. "You built that?" "Yes," the voice said. "It was meant to create life, not destroy it. But the Dominion corrupted it. If it opens again, it will bring back what I sealed." A deep vibration shook the ship. The gate began to glow red. Raylex shouted, "Energy reading spiking!" Something's waking inside it. The bridge filled with chaos. Systems flickered. The hull groaned. Thren yelled, "Options!" "None, sir," Raylex replied. "Weapons ineffective. The gate's pulling us in." The human's voice came again, strained, fading. "There's only one way to stop it. You must destroy the core," Thren frowned. "But that'll kill us." "You'll survive if you trust the ship. It remembers me. It remembers what it was made for." Thren looked around at his terrified crew. "Everyone to stations. We end this now." The Explorer 9 roared forward, engines flaring blue-white. They dove straight toward the red gate. Energy storms raged all around them. Inside the cockpit, the human's voice guided them, calm even as the ship shook apart. "Aim for the center. The light will guide you," Raylex shouted. "Core overload in 30 seconds. "Do it," Thren ordered. "All power to the main reactor." The ship's hull glowed brighter and brighter, almost blinding. The Dominion's whispers filled the comms, echoing across every channel. "You cannot stop rebirth. All creation bows to the strong," Thren shouted back into the void. "Then you've already lost, because strength without mercy is nothing." The Explorer 9 plunged into the center of the gate. There was a blinding flash, white, blue, and red colliding into one. The explosion echoed across the stars. Space itself trembled, then silence. When the light cleared, the gate was gone. Only small fragments of metal floated in the void, glowing faintly like fireflies. Far away, near a calm blue star, a new signal flickered on a small scanner inside a lone observation post. The operator leaned forward. "Strange. I'm picking up something." He adjusted the frequency. Static filled the room. Then a familiar voice whispered, "Humanity endures. Tell them." "We kept the light. The transmission cut out." The operator stared at the silent scanner. "Who was that?" No answer. "Only the stars shining brighter than before."